Our next candidate is Jamal Green. Is he here? Yeah.
All right, how we still feeling? You feeling good? If y'all feeling good, make some noise for yourselves. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Good. I know it's hot in here. First of all, thank you so much, Aaron, for putting this together. Can we give him a round of applause? Hopefully, our alderman finish pretty soon. So, my name is Jamal Green. I'm born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I grew up in Gresham and in Inglewood. I grew up poor to a single mother. My dad was on the west side, but my mom had to hold it down on the south side. And she worked a job every day at the post office. She's been there 30 years. And it was passed down from my grandmother, someone who's deaf, who was at the post office for 41 years. My dad been at Advocate Home Care for 25 years. And so I came from a hard-working family, and that's what they instilled in me. Growing up, I was a troubled kid. I went to 12 schools and was kicked out of 9. The truth. And I was leading kids the wrong way. And it took for me to get into high school and have mentors to put me on the right path. And at 15 years old, I started my first company with my history teacher at Wendell Phillips Academy, in which we were dedicated to inspiring young people in programming. And we were leading youth peace marches. We were doing anti-bullying and anti-violence programs. And he said, you need to use your leadership skills to inspire young people to do what's right. And I said, you know what? You're right. I've been a class clown so long, now it's time for me to use my gifts to change the world. I expanded that company at 16 years old to 15 different states. At 18 years old, I was partnering with the city of Chicago as the Put the Guns Down ambassador, going into all of the at-risk schools. Of course, we know the Laquan McDonald video released when I distanced myself from the city and became a harsh advocate of the mayor, fighting against police brutality, going in front of the mayor's house time after time again until police officers had tasers and body cameras. Fighting at the Taste of Chicago, and even the state's attorney Anita Alvarez threw bogus charges on me because we rallied to get her out of office. I have fought every year of my life to seek change, and it was even recognized by Bernie Sanders, in which he pulled me on the campaign trail and said, I want you to be a surrogate for me. Travel around the country with me and introduce me at all my rallies. And what I learned from Bernie Sanders is that it's gonna take political courage to actually move this country on the right path. And I have to do that here in the city, and that's why I'm running for mayor. I'm running for mayor for a couple of reasons. Number one is because I saw over the years there has not been a politician who actually cared about issues of working people, who actually took the time to come into communities like this and talk to residents about the issues that matter to them. I'm tired of establishment politicians. So I'm running for mayor because I'm from the people. I'm from these communities. I've seen these issues firsthand, and I have solutions on how we can change things. And so I want to spend the last couple minutes on some of our platform. What I want to do as mayor is 3 things: create inclusive communities, end government corruption, and reimagine Chicago's future. So when you're talking about creating inclusive communities, we gotta talk about fixing our neighborhood schools. And where we have schools where 40 kids are in the classroom who don't learn the same. I was in those classrooms. Schools with the lack of clinical staff members. Some schools have none, some schools have 1 with a population of 600 to 1,000 students. The lack of after-school programs and outdated curriculum. We have to invest in neighborhood schools so that schools in Inglewood are just as good as schools in Ravenswood. All schools should be on a level playing field. You should not have to ship your son or daughter to another neighborhood for a good education. And I am fully against that. We need affordable housing, and most importantly, we need wellness centers in the city of Chicago. A mayor who shut down all of the mental health clinics in the city while so many residents are going through PTSD, and I like to call it CTSD because it's continuous. We have to have wellness centers to deal with that issue. But wellness centers, just not psychiatry, it's yoga, it's boxing, it's karate, it's massage therapy, how to get people well. Another thing is, of course, our lead in the water, and I heard you mention that. We gotta have a plan, and I'm actually doing a press conference tomorrow unleashing our plan on the lead in the water and how we're gonna move forward that issue and make sure that we have a low income program so that those pipes get changed in the city of Chicago. Number two, government and government corruption. We need an elected school board in the city of Chicago, and we need to fight for it. We need oversight of the police department, and we need to get rid of red light cameras. And when we talk about reimagining Chicago's future, is how we're going to move this city forward. Number one, we talked about the TIF funds. The TIF funds need to be abolished, so you ain't gotta ask me. We need to flush out the TIF funds, which would pour billions of dollars into our public school system and our park districts, and create a new financial tool that I'm proposing, linked development, where it's pennies on the dollars that go into downtown and the neighborhoods that get that investment go into a fund to spur investment in other communities on the south and the west and the east sides of Chicago. Another idea that I presented, the first campaign in the country, is that police officers carry insurance policies. Allow insurance companies to assess the liability on police officers and deem them too risky based on their record. And if they are not insured, then they cannot be on the streets of Chicago. This idea would save the city billions of dollars in police misconduct settlements, and even more in the interest on the bonds that they're taking out to pay them. So when we talk about these issues, I said I had to be a candidate, not to just get up here and say I'm Jamal Green, I'm running for mayor, but how are we gonna move this city forward? And that's one of our issues, to hold police officers accountable. Our other thing is our Triangle Initiative. Kids coming out of CPS High School will be able to go to community college, trade school, and entrepreneurial boot camp, and all they have to do is community service. This idea will create new leaders, not just pushing college on them, but we have so many trade jobs that are going empty. We have so many new innovators of tech. We have to make sure that they have a route to succeed. And we have to decriminalize cannabis to the lowest priority and work to legalize it in a state so we have a progressive source of revenue. And a tax is, we got to make sure that we have the LaSalle Street tax in the city of Chicago. They are making trillions of dollars and not paying a penny of sales tax, while we are fronting the bill. It's up to us if we want to move this city forward. If you want an establishment politician, I'm not the candidate for you. If you want someone who's from the communities, who doesn't have a problem being the second smartest in the room and build a team of experts to move this city forward, this is the campaign for you. If you want a progressive candidate who thinks differently and is going to work with residents and organizations to move forward these issues, this is the campaign for you. I want to bring you into my campaign because I know that you have the answers, and it's going to take us to listen to you, and then we are going to have to unify together to beat this political machine and take back the 5th floor from Rahm Emanuel. It's up to us. Can I hear y'all say it's up to us? It's up to us.
All right,
we can do this together.
It's up to you to answer some questions.
Yeah, I know, Aaron, my bad.
We'll go straight into the lightning round, and I think you'll cooperate with all these questions. Mayor 2015, who'd you vote for?
Chuy Garcia, campaign with him.
Presidential primary 2016.
You know I campaign with Bernie every day.
Governor.
Daniel Biss. Endorse Daniel Biss and campaign with Daniel Biss.
Assessor.
Fritz Kagan.
Is Jason Van Dyke guilty of first-degree murder?
Oh, that's been my life for the last few years, to make sure that he goes to jail for the rest of his life.
Do you support the small donor matching campaign financing ordinance?
Of course I do. We need campaign finance reform, because we should not be sitting here with two governors that spent $220 million buying an election. This should not happen, and we need to not let it happen again.
Term limits for the mayor, do you support that?
Yes.
And finally, your grade for the current mayor.
I gave him a D-. Let me tell you why. Everybody was expecting me to give him an F. But during political season, he tries to do the right thing. We can't give him credit for that. Now you running for re-election, you want to get pre-K and do all these new programs. We can't give him credit for that. So I give him a little bit for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.